The Dons are 2-0. Tell a friend. Hello, Nathan. Welcome back to
Hello,
the Don Pod.
hello, Sam. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Excellent. It's always exciting to be here on a Monday night after a win. It's becoming quite a
We're
common
just
thing
used to
now.
it now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just every week.
Rare air to be two in a row. Good evening to those that are watching us live. Hello, wherever you might be listening to the Don Pod. Essendon 16-12-108, defeating the Gold Coast Suns 11-14-80. Probably flatters us a little bit, the scoreline, to be truthful, but I will never say no to storming away in the last quarter.
Mm.
In what was a very even game of football. I think both teams on top at different times. Gold Coast fairly wasteful third quarter, but other than that, a very, very even contest.
Yep, certainly was.
Anything to add? Any general comments before we get going?
Oh, just it was a good game. I don't think either. Clearly, neither team is playing for premierships, obviously, but I was quite impressed with how well we fought out a game that I think in years gone past we would have, I reckon, lost.
Yep.
Purely because of the fact that we've learned some stuff.
We've
So
learned some
it was
stuff,
good.
yes. And we'll get into what that stuff might be
Yep.
over the next 50 minutes or so.
2 hours.
Before we crack in, I just want to jump on the giveaway. A couple of weeks ago, you'll remember we flashed about some youth shirts signed by Joe Danaher and Dobby, apparently.
Oh, that was funny.
Do still have them there, but if you've seen them, if you haven't, go check out the preview, season preview. They are there. We're going to give them away this week. Head to YouTube, comment on this video, the Glory and Fame Don Pod on YouTube, and just get in the comments. Give us a subscribe while you're there, and we'll give those away this week, probably by maybe Thursday. I'll pick a comment at random.
Yep.
We've also had a chat before the pod, and we're going to give away a $100 Bomber Shop voucher, but when we hit 250 subs on YouTube, currently at about 185.
We wanted to make it 150 to sort of celebrate St Kilda's game this year because we'll celebrate the fact that in 150 years of football they won one flag, but we thought we're already past 150.
We're actually past that, and we're past one for the one flag too, thankfully. So 250 subs, we'll give a $100 voucher for the Bomber Shop, which I'm sporting new merch from there today.
Which he doesn't like.
It's a bit big, yeah. Anyway, back to the game. Some numbers for you. Setterfield, very, very, very good game. Number of games played at Carlton with 25 touches and a goal for Will Setterfield, 0. Number of games played for Essendon with 25 plus touches and a goal, 2. From 2.
I really want to thank the Carlton Football Club, and I often don't do this because I don't like the Carlton Football Club.
No, who does?
But I just want to thank them for giving us that player because he's quickly becoming a little bit of a favourite of mine. The way he goes about it, it's very enjoyable. So thank you.
And they took Sard, who I don't care what you say is still an aaverage footballer.
Still loves to just run and gun and kick it, even though it's not required at that time of the game.
Setterfield, 28 touches, 13 of them contested, 11 score involvements, 5 clearances, 9 tackles, 10 inside 50s, 620 metres gained, second highest of the match, and a goal.
9 tackles. And we've had 2 midfielders kick goals.
Yeah, unheard of.
Unheard of in Essendon.
Darcy Parish, 30 touches, 14 of them contested, 10 score involvements, 11 clearances and 6 tackles. Shield, 27 touches at 81%. Not bad for a bloke that can't kick. 2 goals, 1 very nice one right on quarter time, and 7 clearances for him. And of course, Langford, 5 goals. Wealthy, Menzies, Shield 2, Junior, Rusty, Perko, Phillips, and Setterfield with the 1. Merritt also had a very good game, but his stats weren't quite as impressive reading them out loud. So,
and the other one I'll mention is that Setterfield and Parish were out of the 2nd and 4th in the top metres gained, which is something that's always been a bit of a knock on Parish. I know with, people say he only gets the ball and moves it sideways, but in the last 2 weeks, he's been in the top 3 or 4 of metres gained, which is what you want your midfielders to do, get the ball and send her forward.
Yeah. And this is probably a good segue into what Will Setterfield brings to the club. And it is his game. His own game is very good. 25 and a goal last week, plus whatever else. 28 and a goal this week. Hard ball, getting in the chains when we score, tackles. His own game is very good, but what he seems to be doing for the rest of the midfield is also added real value. I think Parrish spoke about it post-match. It's just a different dynamic, a different sized player.
I think too, like if you look at Miller, like the fact that I think 9 tackles that you say Setterfield, I reckon 4 or 5 of those were on Miller, like which he's a big unit to pull down.
He's a big boy, yeah.
And although he's not playing a tagging role, he's a bit more of a defensive, got a bit more of a defensive mindset about how he goes about his midfield. Now he can be defensive, but when the ball opens and spreads, he's just as good as anyone getting out and opening it up.
And the goal was a nice rover for pack snap, well, straight in front, but it was still nice movement. Took the chance, slotted it. But seems to be given real freedom to Merritt, Parrish, Shield, McGrath to an extent, who seems to run through pretty quick.
And I'm loving Merritt too. In the first 2 weeks of this year, there seems to be a bit of a change about him. He's got a real drive. Like he's always been quite driven out on the field, but he seems to take that captaincy. That's how he wants to be the captain. He wants to tackle and chase and really. There was a beautiful kick across I think it was the third or fourth quarter. We kicked it over to Massimo, and then Massimo kicked it to Langers, and it was just there was a pack on the wing. He kicked it 40 meters across the center, and I was just, that's football.
Yeah, and I think it's true of all of our probably players, not just midfield, but Merritt's work rate. He's just run, tackle, get the ball, use it really well, run, next contest. It's just, it's probably fairly standard for a lot of football clubs, but it's not what we've seen over the past couple of years. So
it's just, there's a really good mindset about them, which is there's a shift. There's a definite shift in the players.
And remiss of me not to mention Jai Caldwell, probably one of the better 15 disposal games. You'll see 7
He's
tackles.
A little bull though, man. Little bull.
He's a bull. I remember a moment busting through a player on the wing. He ended up getting the ball, but he just charged it.
Yep.
Burst past the
He
Suns
just
player.
went, I'll take it.
Got the handball, cleared the space, and we ended up kicking a goal.
And he's only played like 25 games for us or so far, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's a jet.
Yep.
Also,
I think of him at 150.
Yeah, premiership player. Perhaps.
Of course.
Probably some other club, but
no.
Sorry. Good games from Redmond as well. Pretty much what we expect from Red Dog these days.
He does do some funny things every so often, though. Like he tries to take on a few tacklers, and then he knows he's pinged. And he sort of stands there and go, "Well, I got pinged."
Yeah, we do need to talk about one moment in particular, which is probably going to go under the radar because we won
50?
The 50.
Yeah.
That is, and I wish the AFL would say it. That is straight up not 50 anymore.
Yep.
It was last year. They changed the rules. You can feign a handball, but the bloke's allowed to move if you feign a handball.
Yep. So and they even showed the rule a few minutes after it to sort of say, "Wow, they got that wrong."
Yeah, and I don't mind that. That's fine. They're allowed to get stuff wrong. Own it.
Umpires get things wrong. That's fine. Yeah. Not a problem.
They responded to the end of the North and Fremantle game with their explanation. That should have been, we got that one wrong.
Well, I've been saying this for a long time, that the AFL needs to be more upfront with umpiring decisions throughout the week. There should be a little segment on their website. You can go and check out all the decisions that might cause controversial, even admit some were wrong, because I think that's the important part to do.
I actually think there's two things on that. I actually think the umpire might have almost apologised to Redmond. There was a little flash after the goal where he kind of put his hands up as if to gesture, I kind of stuffed up there. I don't know if that's what happened, but that's what it looked like.
Yep.
And the other thing is Dean Margetts, who will bring nightmares to a lot of Essendon supporters, particularly Perth-based Dons fans. He did a podcast with Will Schofield, who obviously played for West Coast, and it was fascinating. Just amazing insight into him saying, I can only pay what I can see.
Yeah.
And this is what I saw. So get that sort of shit in our faces. And
exactly.
Most of us would sit there and go, right.
And I think that's my point, is that I think our frustration is we're not hearing their view. Yeah. So therefore we're only saying our view and we think we're right because we're not hearing anything from them.
And we're always right, aren't we?
Well, you think you're right if you don't hear the other view, do you? You don't go, that might be.
Well,
I hadn't thought of that.
what it comes down to all the time will be I can only pay what I can see.
Yep.
But just giving them that.
But now we've got the 4 umpires.
To
be able to see everything.
This is what I saw. I did think it was a pretty poorly umpired game.
I did too.
That being said, both ways, I think we got a few that I went, particularly late on, we got a few where I went, it was a bit dicey. There was one where I think it was Caldwell, someone cleaned up a bloke right in front of goal, 15 metres out, 20 metres out for us. It might have grazed his thigh on the way down, and the umpire called it a kick. And last time I checked, the kick has to be below a knee.
Well, that was one when all the players stopped. Like even
everyone stopped.
Gold Coast went, that's a free,
a free kick.
And then all of a sudden they went, oh, he didn't blow the whistle. What the?
And then they went down the other end and scored.
Yep.
Poor Lav got Casbolt's fingerprints are all over that number 15. There are a couple where Lav just got shoved out for no free kick. Just 4 umpires was meant to fix a lot of this.
Well, I did think the other games. I watched a lot of the other games. They weren't as bad, but you still 4 umpires. Still, maybe it's a bit like when we expanded the competition. We just had a few more crapper football players in the team in the competition than we did before because
we got 4 umpires.
You're thinning the pool, aren't you? Really, instead of having more elite, you've dragged a few more in that aren't as good, and that's all right. I don't think it's the death of the game, and I think that
absolutely not, and
hasn't decided this game at all.
I think the simple solution is to give them a platform and just make the rest of us understand that there is a thought process in these decisions. The day an umpire comes out and says, I deliberately penalised Essendon because I don't like them, it's just never going to happen. It's not, it's not going to happen. So anyway, move on. In terms of game stats, if we can move on from the individuals, we had more of the ball overall. We were +3 contested, which isn't a massive gap, but I thought Gold Coast played a really tough game of football. Raul, Miller, and Witts are very, very, very good football players. Raul was unreal. I can't believe he only had 22 touches.
He's certainly taken. He was a bit ordinary last year, but this year he seems to, in the first 2 games, taken a bit of a step.
He was just all over it. So I was, very happy to see, albeit minor, we were plus on the contested ball. We had the same number of inside 50s, just to illustrate the closeness of it. I thought Draper was probably beaten by Witts, but only one difference in the hitouts. But Witts probably around the ground was a bit more valuable.
I don't know about that. I thought Draper tried to drag him forward and be a threat.
Well, Draper kicked 2 points, so if that had been 2 goals, it might have
exactly. And he certainly set one up too for Martin.
Yes, that was good.
Yeah, so I thought. I don't know if he was beaten, but I don't think. Yeah, I'd probably call it a draw personally.
Okay, fair enough.
I am the resident expert in ruckman.
Yeah, and I don't rate them, so I rate Sammy obviously, but yeah. Down on clearances, even in the centre bounces, but -6 on stoppage. But again, with that midfield that Gold Coast have, that's not the end of the world. And I don't know the stat, but I'd venture to say we actually scored more from our stoppages than what they were able to.
You want to know an interesting stat?
Always.
So we are 4th in centre clearances in the competition.
Yep.
After 2 rounds. I mean, it is what it is.
We can only report what we have, yep.
But Brisbane, Western Bulldogs, Richmond, Geelong in front of us, and Sydney behind us. So they're all teams that I think of, they're all pretty good midfields.
Decent teams, yep.
Yet, interestingly, for stoppage clearances, we're running dead last.
Yeah. And this was a thing last year. We were very good at centre clearances, but again, pretty low in the stoppage clearances, which is weird.
Yeah, because it must be just once there's a few more players around the ball, we're all like, don't know what to do.
Don't know what to do. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Plus 18 on tackles. And again, just to really illustrate the closeness, 55 and a half minutes time in front for us, 59 minutes for Gold Coast. So a good game of footy, I guess, is what you can call it, especially because we won. I really wanted to highlight the contested. I thought it was a really tough, hard game of football. And I think you touched on it earlier. Last year, we would have lost that. We would have been the team that conceded 4 goals in the last quarter and got run over the top of.
Because our defence wouldn't have held up.
No.
That's the biggest change, is that our defence, and it's a team defence.
Team defence,
not just the back six are pretty much the same players.
Yep.
Our team defence and the way we're playing and the positions we are is so much better.
Yep. The last quarter was impressive, but I was also really happy with the fact that they got on top.
Mm-hmm.
we got it back.
Yep.
And we got it back by winning the footy in the midfield, tackling, putting pressure on, and just doing all those basic things right. It wasn't entirely on the back six to defend when we weren't on top. It was better defensive efforts from the midfielders. The fact we've kicked, 16 goals with Jones and Langford as our two main tools, and Draper, I guess you could say, and Phillips interchanging. That's amazing. That's awesome. Speaks to the quality of the midfield and the quality of the players themselves. Jones didn't get a lot of footy, but did his role.
And to take that further, we've kicked 35 goals in 2 weeks without Wright and Stringer, who kicked 90 goals, 80 sort of 90 goals between them last year.
Lots, yeah.
And
without Wiedemann this week, who would have been the fairly main target.
Yep. So, and I would say that that's more about, again, it's about the defense and about the midfield that are driving that ball in, and less about it makes. I guess what I'm saying is it's less about the player in the forward line. It's more about the structure of the team. So you can replace, for example, if Langford hadn't kicked 5, there might have been maybe Voss was playing his first game and he might have kicked the 5 because of the way the ball was coming in. He just had to be in the right spot.
And this is a really good segue, thank you, into Brad Scott's press conference. I'll paraphrase, basically talking that we're focused on system, not personnel. So, and it was in reference to Langford and the fact he went forward after being a defender last week, and he was quite complimentary of Langford because he can play anywhere, basically, including ruck, which
he had to go at.
Incredible, and he got flogged, but that's okay. It's more about the system. So we can put, theoretically, as you say, we can put anyone into that position and they'll be the ones that are getting the footy. It's the quality of the player to finish, of course. But
of course. And when you think back to the really good teams, and I think back to those Hawthorns when they were dominant.
Hawthorn and Richmond are really the ones that are.
Yeah, and the Sydney too is the other one that stands out to me. That when they were a really good football team, that was, and probably West Coast a little bit. That was about they'd have a player go out, but they'd have another player ready to come back in and play that role. Even though they weren't the same player, they just knew the role to play, and it was all about the system you're talking about, not the.
And I feel like Truck talked about that. But geez, we never saw it.
Obviously, no one was listening, Sam.
No. Really exciting.
We segue into bagging out Truck quickly.
Yeah, sure. Go for it. Respectfully.
I mean, what I just wanted to say was what stood out to me in the first 2 weeks is how, like, in 6-8 months or whatever Scott's been there, is how he's implemented this team defense, which 3 years under Truck couldn't, especially
Truck, who was an All-Australian defender.
And came from him and was Richmond's defensive coach. And yet, in especially was so bad last year that, like, in his third year, he's, when you would have thought things are starting to come together, it got worse. Now, I was worried last year. Is it the players? Have we got a bunch of wankers, that don't want to do what they're told and all this sort of stuff? But then you see us this week, in the last 2 weeks, and you think, well, no, actually, I think it was Truck. Like, he just clearly couldn't get a message across to the group, and it was either the way he did it or what he was trying to do. But
so to illustrate that point, we're prepared. Shockingly,
you're prepared.
Yeah, well, this is from Fox Sports, which I discovered on Twitter. So it's not our own research, but anyway, in terms of pressure rating in 2022, we were ranked 18th. The first 2 weeks this year, we're ranked 4th. For total tackles, last year, 17th. And for the first 2 games this year, 3rd. And it took me a while to wrap my head around what this actually meant. The points off turnover differential.
Turnovers. So if you're scoring from turnovers.
Us scoring as a result of turnovers, as opposed to what we're conceding from turnovers. In 2022, we were 16th. In the first 2 rounds this year, we're 4th. And there's massive asterisks here in that we played Hawthorn and Gold Coast. I think Gold Coast are okay. I don't think they're nowhere near the level of what Hawthorn.
No, well, Gold Coast I would rate as a team probably a little bit better than us. They certainly finished higher on the ladder than us last year, and there are probably a few players short of their best.
They're around
team,
us and should have been improving.
So were we.
Yeah. And again, this is based off 2 games. We're 2nd for points for in the comp, and we're 6th for points against. Last year, we were, I think, definitely bottom 4 for points against, and not very good at the scoring for.
We know this from premierships after premiership that if you're going to play a good brand of football and be there, and again, we're not there, but you have to be in the top 2 or 3 at defending for points against, and you have to be in the top 2 or 3 for points for.
Yeah. There's
no one else. No one wins it unless you're in those 2 brackets.
Yeah. And I'll get it tattooed across my forehead at some point. Sir Alex Ferguson, cool. Defense wins you titles, attack wins you games. It's a good mantra, and it's true.
What's your thoughts then on quickly then on unplanned question, then Collingwood's style of football, which seems to be all about to attack?
I mean, without wanting to pump up the Pies too much, I think they have the least amount of points scored against them. I think in the comp, maybe close to Sydney, but top 4 anyway. So they still defend. They still have that team defense, but their style is quick ball movement and just explosive footy, which is really bloody hard to stop. But they're still able to defend really well. It's not solely based on their attack. They just attack really well.
Yep.
I'm a bit scared of Collingwood. Don't tell anyone.
It's fine. They can be good for a bit.
It's only round 2. Yeah.
Yep. A long way to go.
There's a long way to go.
It's a longer season this year too.
Yes, that's right. 1 extra game. Huge. Can I ask you a question then on Truck? And this is with notice.
Yep.
Would Truck have substituted Dyson Heppel?
Great question. Lucky we planned for it. I don't think so. And I thought that was a great move by Scott, because there was I know we've all been bashing Heppel a bit, and I feel a bit bad about that, because I really don't like bashing
football club.
Essendon players. I think we often try and be constructive about, But there was a moment in that game a few times when we were streaming into the inside 50 and he had the kick and he just either made horrible choices.
Absolutely butchered it.
Or absolutely butchered. Even like handballs and tapping the ball on at one stage seemed really hard for him. Like, nope, can't do that. That's too much of a challenge for my skill set. So,
and it was early.
It was great.
Yeah, it was I was screaming for it personally. It was early in that third quarter. It really became an issue. We started on top. We had these beautiful ball movement out of the center twice. Yep. He gets the ball at half forward and turned it over. And I went, dude, you're killing it. Like, it just totally zapped our momentum.
There was a moment. Yeah, sorry.
They dominated the third quarter, really.
They did, the score-wise. There was a little moment after those couple of cock-up kicks that he had where I saw Merritt had the ball. He'd taken a mark in the back, sort of back 60, 70. And Heppel ran past, and I saw Merritt sort of go,
nah.
I'm going to do it myself, buddy. I'm not giving it to you again to fuck up.
I think his kicking is just, it looks awkward. And he watched the ball. It's not drop punt. No. It's weird and wobbly.
He doesn't kick well. And the game, and this is the thing about what we've talked about, like why the Massimo D'Ambrosio is probably in before Hind and all that sort of stuff, is because they kick the ball really well.
Yeah.
And Setterfield and, guys that are coming into our club are good by foot. So
in terms
if he doesn't sharpen that up, he will be playing a lot of Viffle.
Scott's press conference, I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was basically not like, it was suggesting that Heppel is in the side. It's not like he's going to be out or anything like that.
But if you take that in a bit further, you could question that his spot is being pushed because he said, well, he's one of the wingers. So it was either him or the young kids, Durham, Martin.
Yep.
And then Heppel, so they took him because their argument wasn't keep him fresh, but it's going to come down to the younger kids, and it's so Sardis, who I imagine will be right, say, but after the bye to play footy, and if he's a wingman, which I think he is, then he's going to push Heppel's spot and push for Martin and Durham too.
There's quite a lot, and we'll get to a VFL rundown a bit later on, but there's plenty of pressure for spots.
And this is great. This is what we've been
It is awesome. It's
for.
just brilliant.
And the other thing too, to go back to Scott, one more thing too was I reckon under Truck, Stringer would have came out and played straight away in the seniors.
Absolutely.
It was great to see him say, no, you've got to go play a VFL game, see if you get it right. Maybe even play 2. I don't care.
Yeah. You're in on form, not because you're Jake Stringer. And I'd expect most players to be like that.
Well, I'm sure you can get the form. It's not that. It's just that we want to make sure you're fit and you're fine before you come back and play the rigors of a senior game. Not Like VFL still not like we won by 100 points or something, didn't we?
It was 80 odd.
So it was a pretty cruisy jog around. It would have been more like a practice match.
Yeah.
But let's
It's
just get him on
it's
cherry
time,
right.
it's minutes, it's form. One final thing on Heppel. I think he, as much as anything else, is in the side because Brad Scott wants on-field leaders,
which is really important.
And I think Heppel obviously is that. So
I agree.
Probably gets a little bit of a reprieve from that sense about his leadership, but I also don't think he's going to get away with ball use like that too often. And that's as much as, he didn't say it in the press conference. I reckon that was probably why. And credit to Guelphy, came on and had an impact, a real impact.
Because I see the guy that's smacked him in the head got a week.
Good. That was a dog. It was a low act.
It was a bit pissy.
Yeah, a bit pissed. Right. That is all I have on my little notes here.
Oh, we're finished. All right, let's wrap that up. See ya.
That's my job.
Yep. Right. That's it.
I want to emphasize, one, we are well aware that we have played two teams that are not brilliant.
But we still have to come from last year.
We can only play against who is in front of us. We can only look at the numbers and what we're doing and how we're playing, and we're very impressed with that. If I could please get your votes, Mr. Nathan.
Of course you can. Very excited about my votes. I gave a 3 to Setterfield. Sets a field.
Yep, I had to tell Nathan that. If he couldn't remember his name, I said in cricket you set a field, and now Nathan's all over it.
It's all locked in now. 2 to BZT, and I want to quickly shout out to how just great game he has.
Yeah.
And I think that the reason why I've given 3 and 2 in midfield and defenders, because I think that's really important and helps set up the number 1 vote who kicked the 5, which was Langford.
Yep.
Because I think Langford there's no doubts he's got the ability to play forward. Never been a question with Langers. He's a beautiful mark. He's a beautiful kick. Really nice kick. It's just that I think that the problem always is what is his best position, and I still don't know it because he'd get pushed out of that half forward role by other players if they came back.
Scott was quite open that he's our utility. He'll go where he's needed, and that's great. You need players like that.
That might be his best spot for a while.
Yeah, wherever we freaking need you, Carl.
Utility.
And, I mean, it's total nonsense to look into it, but he was enjoying it, and I don't recall seeing that particularly from him. He's a fairly relaxed character. So good call on BZT, who it seems like a pretty stock standard rolled ankle, sprained ankle. So
yeah, I hope so. I did a little bit of a poo came out when I saw him. I thought he's broken a leg or something like that. I was like, oh my God.
If it was a 3-month, syndesmosis, whatever, it would have totally overshadowed the win. I would have been gutted.
Yeah, because we're pretty, you know what we are? We're short on tools.
We are short of tool, yeah.
Especially defenses.
But just the fact that he's had such a
great sort of last half of this
last
year. And,
absolute rags to riches. He came in for that final against West Coast years ago and was dreadful. And we all wrote him off. But no, he is our fullback.
And we talked about how he's in the VFL, he looks all right, but then he comes to the AFL and he goes, no.
But we're very impatient Essendon supporters. It has to be said. That size player does take a little bit of time.
But now you look at him and go, well, he's a 150 game player for us. Like he can do his job.
A beautiful man. Great call on giving him a vote. I haven't, but no disrespect.
Better votes.
I didn't
go. You do it.
That. Well, 3 to Setterfield. I think the tackles really stands out as well as the disposals and the goals. I gave 2 to Kyle. I think 5 goals is a very, very good effort in today's game of football.
100%.
And I gave 1 to Shield.
Yeah.
28 touches.
Again,
2 goals,
a midfielder kicking goals.
Quarter. Yeah, both in the first quarter. Lovely goal right on quarter time on his wrong foot.
Yeah.
I thought he was great and high percentage of efficiency with his ball use as well. Could have very easily gone Parrish, Redmond, Merritt, Caldwell, BZT. Like there were several, but I went with Bill. Yeah,
no, I thought
I do gravitate towards players that I hated or didn't like the way they were playing, and they turn good. So
he did one thing that fascinates me about Shield is that he'll get a knock or a little bump. Like they showed that. Did you see where he got like tackled and he got hit in the arm?
Yeah,
something like that. Like
I think he's got some pretty dodgy shoulders. Yeah,
like he does go straight to death pretty quickly. It happened last week too. He got a little ting somewhere.
Yes,
he's like, oh, I'm dead.
Yeah,
rolling around in pain.
Stretching me off, boys.
Gets up, runs off.
I do think he has a pretty dodgy shoulders, to be fair. So
Fair enough. But he goes quickly to I'm dead.
You're not wrong. Right, on that, VFL boys were back this week at the Hangar. 119-39 against the Giants reserves side. Some real talking points from this, I think. I'll run through the stats and then we'll talk a bit more about them. So Voss kicked 5 goals, following on from his pretty decent form in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
Hobbs, 34 touches and 2 goals. Nick Hind, 41 touches, of which 36 were kicks.
A lot of fantasy points.
That's a good game of football.
I don't know the number, but that'd be 140, 150.
I can find that out for you if you bear with me. Stringer had 22 touches and a goal, and it was
great.
Mankura's debut had 5 touches, but did kick 2 points. And I saw a little video on Twitter of him getting the ball and kicking one of the points. Silky. Just what you'd expect.
I'm very excited about him.
Hind, 152
fantasy points.
And Hobbs, 149.
Nice.
If you're interested.
Mm-hmm.
So one major point that I think we both would make here is pressure on positions, pressure on spots in the side with a coach who will drop you.
Yep.
Regardless of who you are.
Yep.
Which is
great.
Amazing. I don't know how Voss fits into the side, but Jesus Christ, he is banging down that door.
I agree. I don't know how he gets in, but he needs to somehow get in because 5 goals,
and for consistent. Like, it's not just one game where he's kicked 5. No, he looked very good in the preseason.
In every preseason and up to he's kicked a few and he's looked really good. So, but I don't know how he gets in. How does Hobbs get in?
Again, it's depth. It's
does he just play another week and have to suck it up?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Drive's a good culture. Same thing. I think maybe D'Ambrosio, he was perfectly serviceable. I don't think he comes out on form. Actually, I thought Mass got a bit overawed. There were a couple of passages of play where he probably got a bit sucked into the crowd, we're running forward, and he just bombed it rather than maybe look for the handball. But kid, no
he's
issue.
Played like 10 games, if that.
Probably got a little bit overawed by it at points. Stringer does come in, I think.
If Stringer's fit, I
don't know who for. Maybe Phillips. Maybe we can afford to lose.
Well, we're playing St Kilda. They only have one genuine ruckman in Marshall. Is it Marshall? Yeah.
So that's.
I don't know who their backup ruckman they're playing with.
I can find that out. And Flipper. Flipper. We commented last week that he's a perfectly serviceable footballer.
Yep.
But I thought he was pretty meh, to be completely.
Well. It's the whole who's your second ruckman at the moment. It would have to be Langford. Like, can Langford actually do a centre bounce? No,
probably not.
Does Jones go in and run and jump?
No. Can Draper ruck?
Can't ruck every. He has to come off at stage. He can't do every centre bounce. Like, he'll be offered a centre bounce, and they'll have to send someone else in there.
St Kilda
around the ground. I don't care as much because you can, like, if you've got an extra.
Langford rucked in the forward line, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Wiedemann, if he comes back in, that's an option for that second ruck.
Well, that would be the thing. If Wiedemann is fit,
Wiedemann for Phillips, wouldn't it?
Wiedemann for Phillips, but then how's Stringer getting into the team like we wanted?
Maybe he's a sub.
Stringer sub? No, not a sub. I like Guelphys and I like
you're right.
Ambrosios or guys that can play a few different roles. Stringer, if you lose a backman, Stringer's useless to you. I'm not going up there. I don't know what they do up there.
Yeah.
I don't know where the goals are. I'm pretty good down that end.
He'd be kicking snags down the wrong end.
He would. He'd be like, where? Oh, 1 point? What the?
Hang on. Deliberate. Cordy is the Saints' other ruckman. I mean, it was 29 hit-outs for Marshall, 7 to Cordy. So not really a second ruck.
I think that'd be interesting. I mean, Scott seems to have the ability to make pretty good decisions, so we'll go along with it. But I think it'd be hard pressed not to try and get Stringer in there if he's
the really interesting one. Then I'll throw at you.
Because Langford can go back.
Well, Langford will
take out a defender. Langford can go back, Stringer goes forward, and that's your replacement.
Well, that's where I was sort of going then. Although BZT was just the standard sprained ankle, don't know if he gets up
100%
this week. I have no idea who comes in for a key back.
Well, it would have to be if that Hayes. Did he play in the VFL? Do you have the VFL stats there?
He did. He had 15 touches, actually. Not bad.
Well, then he might. I mean, he's a kid and he's skinny.
And who are they forwards?
Oh, I don't. They're because King's still injured. They're pretty small forward line, St Kilda. Like, like that's how they're like. They've probably got a couple of talls down there. I don't know, but they're a fairly small forward line because all their talls are injured. Because that's why they've only got the one ruckman. Like normally, Marshall's sort of more of a forward ruckman, but he's playing full ruck.
So goal scorers from this week for the Saints: Owens, Philippou kicked 3.
They're only young.
Camentini.
Yeah, he's tall.
Cordy too. So Cordy would be the forward ruck kind of option.
So Camentini's tall too, I'm pretty sure.
Gresham, Mason Wood.
No, Mason Wood's pretty tall, but I think he's a half backer. He might be playing on a wing or something.
Camentini's 196.
Yeah, 196.
Still broke his collarbone, is that right?
Did he? I didn't know that.
I'm not. I saw a thing on Twitter, and I'm not really sure if it was current or.
Well, that's going to affect some fantasy teams.
He played out the game, and anyway.
How can you play out the game with a broken collarbone?
I don't know. That's what
you can't.
I didn't do a lot of research. I was hoping you'd know, to be completely honest.
No. I did hear something, but I haven't heard anything official, so you can hear shit all the time.
And Marshall can roll forward, and he's quite a
dominant. So, challenge for us.
Hayes is probably the right. Like that's probably the only option, not the right option.
Well, there's no Reed, there's no Cox, there's no Stewart. I don't even know if he's fit.
No, he's out. Fit. He's got an injury. Yeah.
So for someone over 195,
Christ, Langford can't play that role.
No, I wouldn't expect Langford. I wouldn't send him down to do it unless you go Laverde.
Well, I was going to say, could you go back to Laverde?
Langford comes down. Yeah, that might be the only option. But anyway, I don't like it.
I mean, we did it. We've gotten through doing that.
But you'd hate to be playing like a team with a few decent talls at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I thought Lav had a pretty dirty game.
Yeah, he wasn't quite. Yeah.
Gave away a pretty soft 50, and from all the replays, it looked like a pretty clean mark to the Gold Coast player.
Yeah, it was a clean mark. That was bitching about, to be honest. Is there anyone you see coming out of the side from form?
No.
Anyone want to comment about that? Anyone?
It's pretty quiet on the comments. There's people here. Let's have some comments.
Anyone want to think that anyone goes out for form, or who goes in for Stringer?
Heppel is the one. Heppel is the one that'll be questionable on form.
Does Guelphy then stay as a sub?
I mean, based on his quarter and a half, I'd happily have him in the side. But
I'd happy to keep him as a sub.
No, you have an agenda.
But who comes out?
He was a very good
like
sub. I know. I totally agree. He was a very good sub.
Menzies was great.
Asking you shall receive. Stuart in the comments. Baldwin for BZT.
Oh, yeah.
He's an option I'd forgotten about.
Yep. Well, good call. Forgot about him playing. He played well on that Cadman. Is it Cadman there? Number one pick?
Yeah, that was the pick. Yep. That is a great shout, and this is exactly why we do it live, because we don't
know everything.
Everyone listening to this after the fact would have been screaming at us that we are forgetting about Kane
What
Baldwin.
about
Kano? Kyle also chimed in a bit earlier. Apologies, Kyle. It's left it a bit. Langer's forward until Wright is back. Don't mind that at all, but I still think Langles will go where he's needed. Maybe he's not going to have a set position. Interchange whoever is in for those out of form, like Stringer or Voss in for Jones. I don't necessarily agree with that. I thought Jones had a role and he played it perfectly well without having the stats.
Jones's role is to just run, and I think he did 15 Ks in the game.
And don't get outmarked.
Yep, and bring the ball to ground. Yep. Does it enough?
He was fine. Yep.
Yep, and it's just got to get going. He took a few good marks. He will take marks and kick goals. He will kick 2 or 3 in a game really soon.
Well, this is what I kind of mentioned earlier about Zach Thatcher. We expect a lot very quickly, and he's in that category of he's tall, he's awkward, he's gangly, he will take time. And while he's playing a role, and while we don't have Peter Wright,
and while we don't have any other options,
he's in that team.
You've got to have tall forwards because we need outlet kicks on the wing, and
otherwise you're just going to get outmarked.
You can't have Langers running up to the kick out from fullback and expecting him to take pack marks over Ruckman because he's not going to do that.
Some players are just there for structure.
Yep.
100%. And he's one of them. And if he kicks 2 or 3
goals...
tall
ones are usually the ones.
Yeah. And if he kicks 2 or 3 goals, bloody fantastic. But if not...
Just as long as he keeps running and contesting.
It's fine, yep. Kyle also said Hobbs for Heppel. Not the worst shout, but I still think Heppel will stay in the side for leadership, for seniority, for...
I think it'll be interesting. I think, If Heppel throws out another game with disposals like that, then I would be saying, well, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't think Hobbs is great with the ball either. I've seen him butcher it too.
Hobbs' kicking was, last year. I mean, just doesn't have an opposite foot. Got him a few times.
And doesn't realise he can run around players.
Yeah. Alfie's here.
Again. Hey, Alfie. Every time.
He said yes, he did, but I have no idea what you're referring to there.
He's probably right, though, Alfie. You would have been right.
You probably were right, but I don't know what you're talking about. I apologise because I forget what we were talking about 3 minutes ago. Here's one for you. Ham for Heppel.
Oh, come on. He's not even on our list anymore.
It's a bit hard because he's not even on our list, but
no, don't. Yeah.
That's good, Luke. Comedy.
Yep.
Right. Well, we've kind of touched on next week, so I'll just 150th anniversary for the Saints, and I don't know where you got this from. You said it earlier. We'll put on our banner 16 flags in 151 years.
Yep.
Be pretty funny. Cheers, good. Get on it. They're in good form. They've beaten better quality opposition than what we've had to face.
And they flogged us in the practice game.
They were pretty all over us in the pracking match. I can't believe it's 2v3. That's hilarious. Can't believe both teams are undefeated. That's hilarious.
The ladder has Hawthorn. No, that's fair enough. Western Bulldogs, Geelong, and Fremantle are all without a win.
Wow. And Essendon and St Kilda are undefeated.
Yeah.
And North will be able
to North, yeah.
A 3-0, sorry. I'm just used to the other way around.
Yep. That's just so
Did they even win 3 games last year?
Hey?
Did North even win 3 games last year?
No, I don't think they would have. Well, they probably will. I'll have a quick look.
Okay,
you keep talking. Talk amongst yourself, people.
I will waffle. So I still think St Kilda are a bit like us. 2 wins. There you go. They've already matched their last year's effort.
Yeah.
Probably Saints might be in a similar boat to us in that they might drop away at some point just against
hopefully it's in the third quarter
quality opposition. But if we bring that real effort and ferocity in the midfield, there's no reason we can't beat them. I think
there's no reason we can't be close. And then this might be decided by a kick here or a free kick there or something like that. And that's fine. That's
and I mean, given what
I just don't want to be flogged.
I don't. Yeah, I would. I don't care about results. Though. That sounds stupid. I just want to see us.
I'll listen to you, coach's boy.
Progressing and not being just completely.
We're not a results-driven club. We're a process-driven club.
Well, I think at some point you have to be process-driven, not results-driven. If you're pushing for a flag, then yeah, results-driven.
I'm not a results-driven supporter. I'm a process-driven supporter.
Shut up, Nathan.
I mean, you jumped on the party line quickly, Sam.
Yeah, that's what they send out in the membership packs these days. You have to say,
not results-driven.
Well, yeah, whatever.
I still want the victory. I don't care.
I want to win, absolutely. But when you play teams that you know are a bit better off than you, then it becomes about your processes and about how you play, and not being beaten badly like we were last year, like them having a kick in and they've kicked a goal within 10 seconds. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, like it's about setting the game up and defending the ground, and and doing that again and again and again and again and again and again, doing it under more pressure and more pressure, more pressure,
and being able to see what they're trying to do.
Yep. And we can see it like that. Run and carry. The few times we run and carry the ball out of the half back line by handball, and then set up,
beautiful.
A one-on-one down the other end, whoever that is.
They find the kick off that, which is,
and we've got good kickers. Like that's the thing. Like Merritt's a beautiful kicker of the field kick. Yep. Can't kick one when he's in front of goal. He's one of those.
No, that's the only knock on him, really, isn't it?
Well, he missed one again on the weekend. I thought, he's going to kick.
Streaming in 350. Yeah. Yep. One more thing before I get a tip from you. Alfie was referring to Jack Steele, so we were correct. And and Daniel's the backup there. Jack Steele broke his collarbone. I'm not bringing him into
my fantasy team.
Pulling off, and that's what the X-ray looked like. It was like a dangling piece of bone.
How the fuck do you play out that?
I don't know how you play. I mean, big props. I mean, Jeremy Howe, what are you doing? You should have played out the game, champ.
Is this part of that whole I'm tough, so I'll go out there and continue to break things that are broken?
A bit like Jack Steele going, I want to win this game of football, so I'm going to play I don't know.
Well, that means
They
he
were
certainly
flogging-
can't be playing this week, can he?
Oh, I certainly think not.
You'd hope not.
That's a couple of weeks minimum.
You know, it's less.
Last time
Might
I
be
got
the
a
sub.
call,
Maybe they'll sub him on at the
Over
fourth
there.
quarter.
with 2 seconds left. Get a
Well, that's not a bad thing for us.
well, it helps, and it was a bit
Yeah.
like Chol out. Chol out for Gold Coast really didn't hurt us at all in the sense of being short at all.
No, it took
Yeah,
short of tall.
Is a catchphrase.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll have a tip, please, from you.
Bombers by 4 points.
Scorcher at the G. It's a close game, just good game.
Oh, right.
Scorcher. Not hot.
It was going to be hot.
They are. I'll stick with the Dons. Why not? Up and about. By 16.
10 goals. Wow.
I can't deal with close games. I hope it's not 4 points. I'll pass out. I don't like it.
I will also struggle with a close game, but
I'm heading
I
down
just.
this week.
I mean, I've got a feeling that it could be there, but them by 35 points, to be honest. But I can't say that.
You just did.
Yeah, but I didn't.
Champion. All right, so you're officially Essendon by 4, but it could be St Kilda by 35. And I'm just Essendon by 16 because I'm an Uffie and I'm going to ride this wave of undefeatedness while we can. And screw Ross the boss.
Screw Ross the boss, the wanker. Oh, I do. The Steele thing probably does throw it back towards us a bit because our midfield should be a bit more. They'll send a tag at a Parish they did in the preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
They think he's the one, but they might even have to send it to Setterfield now because I know Parish might go, yeah, fine.
That's the good thing. We've got a lot of players rolling through that midfield. Sorry, one more thing before we wrap up because I should have mentioned it earlier. Andy McGrath started the game horrifically. He had a couple of kicks that went nowhere near where he wanted them, but turned it around. His work rate, his run, his carry. There's a very, very good chase from Rao on him, where he just got the touch at the end, but just that acceleration and the fact he took it on. I love that. I don't care if you. I mean, the kick was a bit crap because he got sort of.
He's playing that role, and this will make it hard for Hind to get back into that team.
Yep.
Because I still think that McGrath is really good at. Because of his midfield experience, that he can go to one of the when they send a not an overly tall but a small mid down to rest down there. He's the guy that can handle them.
Yeah,
because he can deal with that quality midfield / forward.
Yeah, and going the other way, he rolls through that midfield but win the ball so well. Doesn't seem to get caught out of position too much, so he's able to read the play.
And he comes up with that run and carry. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful to watch.
Right,
that is it for us. Anything else before we wrap?
No. I mean, I thought, young kids played well. Davey and Menzie.
Menzie is one.
Menzie, I really like the way he goes about it. I'd love him to kick a bit straight. I'm a bit worried about bloody Davey's kicking. He's another easy set shot that he just blah. But no, look, things are going well. If BZT gets up, that's great. That means we've played 2 weeks without really a major injury, except obviously, what's his name, Mr. Week?
Wiedemann.
Yeah, Wiedemann. But I don't know. Things are going well. It's exciting. We're not crap for a bit.
Great wrap. All right. Well, we'll enjoy our week being undefeated, and hopefully we'll talk to you this time next week. Still undefeated.
The number 3. In front of it,
3-0 up there.
What do we have after that? Just
Giants.
4-0. Calling it.
Hey, how have you been telling me to keep it?
Yeah, it's different for
and
me.
You've just gone to 4-0. We're not even 3-0. Essendon and North Melbourne 3-0. You heard it here first.
Oh my god, imagine that.
I don't know who North play after Hawthorn, but if we're both,
they better be a decent team because we can't keep it up.
No. No, we have Melbourne, Collingwood, and Geelong after Giants, so
there's losses
it
coming.
might come crashing down. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for listening. Head over to YouTube if you want to subscribe and win yourself a couple of youth signed shirts. 250 subs, $100 Bomber Shop gift card coming your way.
Give you 3-2-1. That might get you the jumpers.
Just get in the comments. Give us a 3-2-1. Give us whatever. Tell us how much you hate Ross Lyon. No disrespect.
Tell us if Steele really is injured.
He is confirmed 6 weeks, allegedly. How much you love.
You can't say confirmed, allegedly. Like, it's kind of confirmed. Allegedly.
Well, it's confirmed by Daniel in the comments, but that is alleged because I don't know for sure.
Well, that's the problem. Stop saying confirmed. Daniel has said it.
We're going off the track here.
Yep.
Thanks for listening. Get on the YouTube, give us a like, whatever, and you might win something. And we'll chat to you next week. Go the Dons.
Go Bombers.